Okay, so back to what we're doing, stem and leaf plot. As I said, this helps us organize our data values. So the other purposes of the stem and leaf, it helps us see the smallest and largest values. It also helps us see where most of our values are grouped. It helps us identify outliers. Outliers, these are the data values that are far from the other data values. It also helps you see the most common value, and it helps you see the shape or the spread of the data. So we will show an example with these numbers here. You've been given random figures here, and you have to create a stem and leaf plot. So remember, this is how it's going to look first. It's a straight line. Then you have the stem here. And you have the leaf here. So colleagues, remember, the leaf side is always going to have one number. That's the rule you should remember. The leaf side is always going to have one number. The stem side, the numbers can vary. Okay. So if you look at a number like 11 here, all right, this number in front, put it like this. This first one here is going to go on the stem side here, 1, and then this other number here is going to go on the leaf side here. Okay, that's how you represent 11. Okay, colleagues, even here we have another 11. So we just write another one here. Okay, so wrote down this 11 here, this 11. For 12, as I said, always the last number. I've also forgot to mention this. The last number is the one also that goes to the leaf. So as you can see here, 12, this 2 is going to the leaf side here. Okay, because it's already in the group of tens here. So this one is already being represented here. So we have a 12 here. We have another 12. You put a 2 here. Another 12. You put a 2 here. Another 12. You put a 2 here. Okay. Then we have 13. So listen, we put a 3 here. 13. And you have to put the numbers in order. Okay. Then 14 comes here. The next number, 16. So you put a 6 here. 17. You put a 7 there. Okay. Then we have 20. Then we have those other numbers. 22, 27, 26, 39, and 40, and 62. Yes. Right. So next we have 20. Okay. So the 2 comes here. Okay. The 2 come here. Then the 0 comes here. All right. For 22, as you can see, the last 2 comes here. 26, you put it like this, 26. Okay. Then we have 39. 39, okay, you bring the 3 in front. Then this 9 comes here. Okay. Then you have 62. Okay. So you put a 6 and a 2 there. Okay. So as we said, this stem and leaf, it tells us where most of the data values are. So we can see the most of the data values are in the 10 to 20 range here. The 11s, 12s, 13s, this in this range here. This is where most data values are. Okay. It also helps us to see, so we've seen where most values are grouped. It also helps us identify outliers. So like in this case here, this 62 is an outlier because it's further from these numbers from 11 to 39. 62 is further out there. So this 62, we can call it as an outlier. Okay. It also helps us see on the spread of the data. Okay. So if we draw something like this, we can see if we draw this shape, if we just turn it around, the shape of the data looks like this here. As you can see here, colleagues, this is the shape of the data. And we can tell that most of our data values, if this was a number line, okay, here from 10 to 20, we can see that most of the data values are in this range here. So the data is forming a distribution almost like a normal distribution, which we're going to learn about later on in statistics. Yes. Are there any questions, colleagues, on this stem and leaf? Are there any questions or queries? Okay, let's see with 3-digit numbers now. Okay. Let's say we've got 101, 108, 108, 123, 128, 138. Okay. Let's say, for example, you have these numbers here and you want to show them on a stem and leaf. All right. So here you put stem, here the leaf. So let's say on the leaf, you're always going to have just one number. Okay. So here, these first two numbers go on the stem part. 101, you present it like this. 10 here, then you put a 1. This is 101. Okay. For 108, you put the 10 here, then an 8 here. 108. Okay. Then 108, you see, just put an 8 there. Okay. Then 128. Okay. Put 1, 2 there. All right. 128. Okay. 138. Just put here 1, 3, 138. Okay, colleagues. So this is how you show data on a stem and a leaf diagram. Just remember the leaf part is always going to have one number. So whatever numbers they give you, just remember on the leaf side, you just put only one number. The stem side, there can be as many numbers as possible.